Hey friends, today's tune of the week is The White Rose. It is a sappy American waltz. It's in the key of C, and it's just got that kind of, goopy sappiness that I tend to really love in waltzes. Less of a sweetness, but almost like too sweet. I'll let you see for yourself. I'll play it through for you. Here it is again. Yeah, so hopefully you're hearing some of that slidey goopiness. I just find it to be really fun. A couple other things that jump out to me right away about this waltz is how much it uses that skipping scale, bum, 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 but of course with a more melodic rhythm. And just how much it's calling out for some harmonies. And there's a lot of space to play around on this one and explore some fun options. So the key is C. This is nicely in the key of C, starting, well, it starts down pretty low, and it doesn't really work its way up onto the E string at all, except for just the open E. So we don't have to worry about our F natural on the E string, unless you're playing a harmony. But we do have a F natural here on the D string, so that'll just be a low second finger, which isn't that strange. And a C natural, of course, on the A string, so low second finger there. And otherwise, it feels pretty familiar under the fingertips. I've already played it as a waltz, so it's kind of slow, but I'll just slow it down a little bit one more time through, and then we can talk about it a bit more. One thing I do want to point out is this kind of follows a more like southern waltz structure that I see a lot. I see it in other New England waltzes and waltzes from all over, but where we kind of have this A part theme that happens, and then it happens again with a slightly different ending. And then we have this B part nugget, and then it goes right back around into the A part. And I'm going to contradict myself. Star of the County Down is a lovely Celtic waltz that follows that exact thing, and I'm now starting to think of a bunch of other waltzes that do that. But so take note of that moment in the B part where it kind of comes back into itself on the A, and then notice that we would still need to start the A part all over again. So it's just the second half of the A. There's plenty of like reels and jigs that also do the same thing, but it's a particularly common thing, I guess, that I see in waltzes. So here it is, and I'll try to keep it fairly simple. Oh, the other thing that I want to say here is, because I'll probably accidentally mess around with it as I go. Some astute listeners will probably say, Annika, the first time through on such and such measure, and then the next time through on a different measure, you played a even 3 quarter notes instead of a quarter note and a dotted quarter note and an eighth note, or whichever it is. And so I'd like, before I play this, to give you this metaphor of each measure being a slice of pie that we are sharing. It's a really good pie, so we're cutting it into only 3 slices for the most part. And those could be 3 even slices, such as this. Or each note is a slice. Or we can cut a third, and then a slightly bigger third and a smaller third. But as long as our first note is coming on that downbeat, it really doesn't matter the exact proportion of each other pie slice to each other. We just have to really feel where is that downbeat, and the downbeat, and the downbeat again. And then kind of how you distribute those notes, I think, is your artistic and musical choice in the moment. Of course, if we're playing with other people, it's nice if we reach some sort of agreement on that. And that's where saying, oh, well, this is how it's written, we'll stick to that, can be useful. But even then you might kind of say, ooh, let's play it through where we just really pull that rhythm and syncopate all sorts of notes. And then another time where we just keep it really straight and even. So you can listen for what I'm doing this time through and take note of where I'm correct with what I wrote versus where I'm not following my own instructions, and begin to kind of play with that as well. As a side note, yes, some of the measures have like 6 notes or 5 or 4, depending on how they're broken up. And again, you can just think of each of those 8th notes as a smaller slice of pie, and those are also not equal. If I play, there is a measure of all 8th notes. If I played them as exactly equal 8th notes, it wouldn't feel as melodically flowing. They're just slightly differently sized. And hopefully if you're one of those notes, you're not the smallest piece of pie. So here it is. As another side note, let's keep our fingers crossed that Morgan keeps quiet. He sometimes likes to sing along with me on sappy waltzes. Not so much the fast tunes, but slow numbers like this will occasionally elicit a little howl from him, and he's over here on the sofa looking at me and thinking about singing. So here's the White Rose, a little bit slower. Goes right to the B part. Back to the A. Slowed down. We're going to start our open G up to that C, and then we have a skipping scale. Back and forth there, and then we have to go to the D for the... And now we're up to the first finger on the D string. and then the second finger with the A. And then our pattern's going to change a little bit. So let's do that again. And I'll leave you with that third finger. Let's do that one more time. Just feel that skipping scale and that roll back. Try to make those string crosses really smooth for your bow. Time I was noticing I was slurring the last note of the prior measure into the next one, so that I might not do it across the string every time. I might not do it at all every time, but especially across the string. But just sort of notice how that can change things on a waltz. As with any song, we have a lot of options for how we bow it, and in general, I think of the left hand as being the words of of something that we're reading, whereas the right hand is kind of where do we breathe, how do we articulate it, what are we doing with our voice, that natural bit that makes us sound different than the robot inside of our phones. And so it is really your choice. How do you want to express it? And this is a beautiful playground to kind of explore some of those options on. So here we are again, that first phrase. The C chord, but now our arpeggio needs to involve a jump instead of a skip, so we're going from this G to the C. I'll do that again. One more, and I can choose to subdivide that into shorter notes or longer notes on that second finger. And then we have this little rundown that turns into a stumble, skippy thing down. I'll do that again. I'm starting my third finger, and I'm running down to the F, where I then turn into a skipping. And skip. One more time. D, B, and then we're kind of back at the top again. But we're gonna just a tiny little variation, and I don't always do that variation. Sometimes I do it the same way there. But let's, for now. And then here is our second ending with a C arpeggio. Let's talk about that a moment. I'm starting on a G. I go to a C, E, and you might be saying that's a C arpeggio, but it starts on G. We can start an arpeggio anywhere. The notes of the C chord are C, E, and G, and as long as we have those three notes strung together, it really doesn't matter which one comes first. So we're singing out the C chord, and then we're gonna do a so we land on we resolve after the, we're coming to a third finger on the D, third finger on the A string, a D note. Open A, B, C, and then that's walking us right into our B part. So let's do that whole A part again. I'm going to start with a walk up from the G to the C, skip. One more skipping. Start walking down and then skip. Starts over. B, A, arpeggio. This is the end. Let's do that one more time for fun, even though it wouldn't repeat in real life. I'll try to do it slower. I think I rushed that one. I'm sorry. To the C, walk up. skip, start over. So walking into the B part, you may have noticed on some of the times I've already played it through for you, I was using my pinky, and it is totally unnecessary, except that it's nice. So I often go. So that E flat there is just a poignant moment. It's so good. And we can go to the opening. We can go. If you want to do that with the third finger, you're absolutely welcome to. And sorry about that screech I heard. And that's perfectly fine. No reason not to do that. I also really like that downward slide with the pinky. Feels nice and sounds nice. Sometimes I double the pinky up with the opening. That double E sound just also makes me really happy. Also, sometimes that E sounds really bright to me. We're coming at this. And sometimes it just feels a little bit brighter than we want. Also, sometimes your E is a little out of tune. So there's sometimes in certain tunes where I'll know, like, I'm not going to go to my E for this poignant, sensational moment because it's just not going to sound quite right. It's feeling a little off, and I might have more control with my pinky. But I use my pinky a lot, and you might feel like, no, my E is safe. I want to go there and relax on that note, in which case that's totally fine. You totally then could still use that pinky for that E flat note or the D sharp, depending on how you want to think of it, but right here. No, that wasn't it. But either or, play around with whether you want to do the pinky and then slide the pinky back, whether you want to do the open and then the pinky in the third, or whether you want to do the open and then the pinky, the third finger up and slide it down. And again, those are just all slightly different ways of articulating the same idea. So here's this walk up. There, I really like using that pinky from that D, E, D, because that pinky is a non-structural note. It's just kind of this little decoration. We don't need it. We can do it without. Which is absolutely beautiful. I might use that as a variation at some point. Going that open E does feel a little bit brighter, so I prefer a subtle pinky there. Again, personal choice. Walk it down. It's just a C, B, A to the G, and then it will actually keep going all the way down to that C, but the rhythm changes. Here we are at the top of the B, starting the C natural, walking up to the E as our pickup notes. Walk down, keep going. Let's do that one more time. I'll use the pinky this time. So this is a fun little turnaround that I love. So it's a C. I'll do it again and talk through it. We have a C to a B to a C. E, D, E, C. So a little rundown, and then we drop to our open G. Open G, A, B flat. And then just slide that second finger up into its B place. The next note will be a G in the third finger. I like to roll my bow into it, and I like to kind of use that second finger to guide my third finger into place. So watch. then there's a little open A as a grace note. I'm going to use my pinky. You don't even need it at all. We'll be totally fine. So, where are we? Here we are. That little CBC, this swirly moment that ends with that B slide up. G walk up. Exactly that. 2 more times. C. Walk up. 1 more. C. And now we are back again at the beginning of, at the halfway mark of the A part where it comes back through for us. So let's do the whole unique B part chunk, and then this time we'll just roll right into the rest of the B part, which you already know from the A part. We're starting on a C natural on the A string, up to that E. Pinky or open, up to you. G. Here's our skip, 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 C arpeggio, and the end. It doesn't normally go back to the B, but let's do it. Let's do one more B, and I'm going to make it super, super sloppy and goopy. There's a lot of lovely slides. Too much sliding is a terrible thing. It just sounds awful, in my humble opinion. And I may like to explore that line a little bit more than I ought to, of sliding too much. I've made the argument before of it's good to record yourself and listen to yourself. And sliding in particular is something that I've had many instances of thinking, oh, these slides sound so luxurious and thick and wonderful. And then I listen to a recording and it just feels out of tune and feels too wobbly and goopy. So that can be a personal taste that sometimes you need to like step back and look at a little bit differently. But go ahead and see where they feel comfortable. I tend to slide in the direction the melody is going. So if the overall trajectory of those couple of notes is up, I'm going to be sliding up. And if the overall trajectory is down, then I'm going to be doing a little down slide. Those little chromatic walkie slide moments in this song also kind of follow that general guideline. I think I would just do the B part. So here's the B part one more time with lots of sap, and then we'll go right into the A. So on this tune we have lots of beautiful moments for some nice double stops. On the beginning of that A part, and when it shows up again on the B, of course, we've got some options for taking our melody and double stopping it. That makes a really nice C chord. That is kind of my go-to C chord shape anyways. Third finger on the G string, first finger on the D string, the C and E. That's That's a really lovely moment if you drop that pinky onto the C sharp. And then we can go to that G. What's interesting is I keep wanting to put an A there and make it more of a D chord sound. We won't speak about it. You could play a D chord instead. There's a lot of options. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. So from the beginning, double stop. Did it again. There I can grab that open G, which is part of my C chord. No, I just realized what I was doing. Sorry about that. I thought I was making a D chord shape, which made no sense to me. I was using, a D would use an F sharp. We're in C. There are no F sharps. I'm doing an S. I'm kind of making more of an F chord there, so I'd be actually leading us to more of a 4-chord sound if I did that. It would also sound okay with a G chord behind it. It might have a crunchy moment, but that could sound very appealing. But you could also do, doesn't speak to me as much. So I rewound on us, I'm sorry about that. Here we are. I'm going to start at the beginning again with these double stops. Thanks for your patience. So there I'm putting that first finger back on the G string for the A to get this F sound. And there I'm really tying those notes that I'm doing already together. And just kind of making a double stop. My open D will work with that G chord. So that really lovely C is a first finger on the D string, and a low second finger, of course, for a C natural on the A string. So often in a song like this where we have so many arpeggios, and we're kind of skipping around in a lot of chord shapes, a lovely note for a drone is the note you just played, or is the note you're about to play, or is a note that you have recently danced across. So explore those. Let's see what I got in the B part. No. Yeah, I think I like that line just kind of open without much. The chords are very pretty, but sometimes we don't need anything there. And then this. Playing around with that C of the third finger on the G string, first finger on the D string, that. And then that chord, it is just handing itself to you. The second finger on the D, the G, third finger on the D. So it's a B and a G. If you can hold it while you drop that pinky, it's really subtle and nice. So let me do that C kind of wobble around. So there's that E on the D string, first finger, and second on E. Second on the C, on the A string. Sorry about that. And then a lovely thing in this song as it ends. Sorry. We can kind of do. A nice arpeggio down is lovely, or if you're brave, you can go. I wouldn't do that because that's not my comfort zone, but it's a C, E, there's that G, and then a C, which you'd have to reach for. So what I would recommend doing is doing a C, E, sneak into second position by putting your index finger on the G natural and then landing that pinky where the C is. Requires some practice if second position isn't your comfort zone. We don't have to end on a C. We could get a different arpeggio. There I went down a step to come back up again. Really anything is quite nice, and I like knowing my arpeggios and feeling comfortable with them so that if I'm playing with someone else, when one fiddle player ends it on a C, well, I'm not going to hit a C. I don't want to double their note. I'm going to choose an E or a G. Well, maybe there is another player who really hit that E, and so they've got the C and the E locked down. Well, then I want to grab that G, and just so that all together we have this really fleshed out, vibrant C chord for the ending. A point that I made at the beginning that I want to swing around back to is that thinking of each measure as a pie. It's a whole pie. We cannot make the pie bigger or smaller. The measure is the size of the measure, and those are those downbeats that we feel. But the slices of the pie, being each individual note in the measure, when we're slicing it up, we get some choice there. And so in one measure, I might make the first slice a little bit bigger, or I might make the second slice smaller or bigger. I've got a ton of options. And that's just a lovely way to kind of play around with it, make it your own, put your own feelings into it, and I think it's quite safe to tell you that I would play it differently most times through. So with that in mind, let's play this sappy, beautiful waltz again. I love those slides and those two chromatic walks that, and they do it for me. So here's the White Rose. Really quick note there. To go from the B part back to the A part. Lovely. Totally an option to end on that C, drop the open G, and then run it up. Or what am I doing there? I'm making it up on the fly. So C, A, G, F, E, D. Or I could do where I did more of a direct arpeggio. C, G, E, G. And those connector notes are really, you've got some choice there. That's a great place to kind of explore some new ideas, try out some other options. Can you do? Wait, I did that before, sorry. There I came into the melody on kind of a different note. But we have a lot of options, and there's a couple of other chunks of connector notes that I'm sure you already heard me play in the melody as I'm playing around with it and having some fun, that, you know, we can stick a few extra notes in here between this nice note and that nice note, or we could pull out a few, or we could just, instead of doing this little run like that, we could just kind of come around the corner this way, play around with it. Here we go again. Oh, even more ideas to share with you. I think it's the original J.P. Fraley version where I hear him go. And there's a bunch of other subtle variations of kind of like where you want to put a pause, and that just has a lot of fun mystery and excitement to it. So feel free to add that into your variations. Is lovely. And then another thought that is, well, here now I'm going to split into two more thoughts. I was going to say dynamics being a really important thing. This waltz is asking for some tender moments, so that those brighter, the B part, that kind of, to me, just my idea, wants to soar. But that means in order for it to really soar, I need to be a lot more tender before I go into it. So the into the A part, I might try to soften up. You could try inverting that and doing it the opposite way, but try to tell a story, and we don't want to stay at the same volume the entire time. Make sure there are some soft moments, some louder moments. And then, of course, we have that option on every single note and every single measure, not just on the phrase level. We could really look into, not the note that I wanted it to be on. So really I try to imagine the sound waves, and you've probably seen it on your recording devices, where quiet noises are these little lines, and when they're bigger, it's big. And I like to create this shape of starting small, getting louder, and then maybe tapering off and softening. I think it's really entertaining actually to turn on my voice memos on my phone where I see that little red line as I'm going, and just play on an open string, although those are funny because they ring differently, or any other note, and try to create some cool artwork, some cool shapes, or of like, you know, what, can you imagine what this would sound like? I can also see it in the vibration of the string. The string is just barely vibrating, and when I give it that push, I can see the actual string kind of do its thing. So on a lot of those long notes, can you kind of have a little crescendo and decrescendo right there on those notes? Or just a thickening up? Is there a way that as your bow is traveling, can you evoke a little more sound and depth and richness out of your instrument? Okay, I think that might actually be all the things that I want to say about this lovely waltz. It's probably not. I'll think of something after I end the video. But I hope that you've enjoyed it. I hope that it strikes your fancy with all of its lovely sappiness, and that you enjoy playing this beautiful number. Take care.